Hey guys, in this session I'm going to go through the quadratic formula and use it to basically solve these 4 questions here. Now you might be wondering where the quadratic formula actually came from. It's a bit of a long story. I'm sure I'll make another video for it later on, but basically the formula looks like this. X is equal to minus b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Now this particular formula will actually be given to you guys in your exams or your internal exams or whatever it is. But let me tell you guys this. You use so much of this formula that you almost remember it after a while, because you use this for systems of equations and you also use it for algebra external as well. Okay, so this is basically the formula, and I'm going to show you guys how to actually use it to solve the 4 questions above. So the first question I've got there is x squared plus 4x plus 3 equals to 0. So this is my first question. Now you might be wondering why I'm actually using the quadratic formula for this, but because we know we can just factorize it straight away and solve it. I'm actually going to show you guys how to do that. So we know that we can actually factorize this, right? So because I've given you guys a nice simple one to work from. So we know that when we factorize this, it's going to be x plus 3 and x plus 1. Because 2 numbers multiplied at 3 is 3 and 1, and it also adds up to 4 as well. So from here I can see that x plus 3 is equal to 0, or x plus 1 equals to 0, and what I'm going to get is x equals to minus 3 on one side and x equals to negative 1. Now if I'm going to use the quadratic formula for this and solve it, the first thing I'm going to do then is I'm actually going to write down the quadratic formula. But before I do that, I want to show you guys where the b, the a, and the c, it all makes a connection. So the problem that I'm trying to solve is x squared plus 4x plus 3 is equal to 0. Now a quadratic formula could be written as ax squared plus bx plus c, and then in this case we're just going to leave it as equals to 0 for now. So what it means is that we're going to start matching things up. Alright, so the first thing we're going to match is the value for a. It's actually the number in front of x squared, the coefficient of x squared. In this case, the coefficient of x squared is just 1. So that means a is equal to 1. Next, we look at the value of b. So b is the coefficient of x, which in this case is going to equal to 4. And finally, the value for c is the number by itself, or the constant, which in this case is 3. So what we have is a equals to 1, b equals to 4, and c is equal to positive 3. So now it's just a matter of substituting these 3 values into the quadratic equation. So we've got x is equal to minus b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a. And so we can write this as negative 4 plus or minus b squared is 4 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 3. And all of that is divided by 2 times a, which is 2 times 1. So we then have to simplify whatever's inside the bracket. So we've got 4 squared is equal to 16, minus 4 times 1 times 3, which is 12. And all of that is divided by 2 times 1, which is 2. Keep carrying on. So we're going to get negative 4 plus or minus square root of positive 4, and that's divided by 2. Still carrying on, we know that square root of positive 4 is 2, and so what we have is that whole thing divided by 2. Now notice how I got plus or minus. So that actually means I can rewrite this as saying I've got my solutions for x now. So the first solution is going to be negative 4 plus 2 divided by 2, and the second solution is going to be negative 4 minus 2 divided by 2. So when I do this, I actually end up with negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2 over 2, and negative 4 minus 2 is negative 6 over 2, which then is equal to negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1, and negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. And what you guys should see is that we are getting the same 2 answers there. Alright, now in terms of working out, you're wondering, man, that's a lot of work to do, but the reality is that with this, you got to look at quadratic equations and go, at what point is it better to use the quadratic formula, and at what point is actually better to use just factorizing it by itself. So that was question number 1. So let's have a look at question number 2. So we have this right here. 4x squared plus 20x plus 25 equals to 0. So I'm just going to copy that if I can. Where is it? Nope. Okay, so I've actually got this equation, guys, and I'm going to try and use the quadratic formula again for this. So I've got x equals minus b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Of course, it would help if I actually tell you guys what a, b, and c is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down the equation first. So I'm going to write down ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, and then I'm just going to start matching up my a value. So a is equal to 4, b is equal to 20, and c is equal to 25. Okay, hopefully you guys can see that. So that's where the c value is going to go. The b value gets substituted there, and of course the a value gets substituted there and there. So then what we have is negative b, so it's going to be negative 20 plus or minus 20 squared minus 4 times 25, and it's divided by 2 times a, which is 2 times 4, and that's where we are at right now. Okay, so let's actually start working this. So we're going to get negative 20 plus or minus 20 square is 400 minus 4 times 4, 25 is actually equal to 400 as well. And that's divided by 2 times 4, which is 8. And what we have is negative 20 plus or minus. We got 400, take away 400. That's actually 0. All right. And because square root of 0 is 0, we don't really have to worry about it. And what we end up with is negative 20 divided by 8, which is equal to negative 2.5. Now, in some cases, you're only going to get one solution. And this is one of those cases. So in this quadratic, there's only one solution. All right. And so we just write x is equal to negative 2.5. Okay, let me show you the next question. So this is the next question here, 3x squared plus 11x minus 4 equals 0. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to solve, I'm going to put ax squared plus bx plus c again before getting started. So I've got my a value here, which is equal to 3. My b value is equal to 11. And my c value equals minus 4. Okay, so let's just write that down. So a equals to 3, b equals 11, c equals minus 4. Okay, now writing the quadratic equation, the quadratic formula. So I've got minus b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So I've got negative 11 plus or minus b squared is 11 squared minus 4 times a, which is 3, multiplied by negative 4, which is c. I hope I got that right. And then we've got 2 times a, which is 2 times 3. So we've got negative 11 plus or minus 11 squared is 121. And then we've got negative 4, 3, negative blah, 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 blah. So that's going to be 48. And that's divided by 6. So what we have is negative 11 plus or minus square root of 169, and that's divided by 6. Square root of 169 is 13, and that's also divided by 6. So what we have is we've got two answers for x now. We've got negative 11 plus 13 over 6, or negative 11 minus 13 over 6. And when we do this, we've got 2 over 6 as one answer, or negative 24 over 6. So 2 over 6 stays as it is, or, well, you can simplify it to 1 over 3. And negative 24 over 6 could be done as negative 4. So those are my two answers, 1/3 and negative 4. All right, let's have a look at the next question. Now, we've been extremely fortunate with the numbers, guys. Well, I've actually picked up really neat questions to kind of do. So that's why you've been getting really nice numbers. But sometimes you do get horrible numbers. And I'm going to show you something like this in this case. So as usual, I'm going to write down my ax squared plus bx minus c, plus c equals to 0, and then start matching things up. So a value is equal to 3, b value equals to 4, c value equals to negative 2. So a is 3, b is 4, c equals negative 2. So write down my formula. I've got negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Then negative b, so that's going to be negative 4 plus or minus b squared is 4 squared minus 4 times a is 3, c is negative 2. And that whole thing is divided by 2 times a, which is 2 times 3. So then we have negative 4 plus or minus 4 squared is 16, and we're going to get plus 4 times 3 is 12, 12 and 2 is 24, and all of that is divided by 6. Okay, so what we're going to end up with is negative 4 plus or minus square root of 40 over 6. I'm going to drag that out here. So as you can see now, that square root of 40 is going to be like one of these really horrible numbers. So let's just see what it is. Square root of 40 is 6.32. So I'm going to take 6.32, guys. So then this is equal to negative 4 plus or minus 6.32 over 6, which means my first value for x is negative 4 plus 6.32 over 6. And my second value is negative 4 minus 6.32 over 6. Okay, and so I'm going to just kind of put this in the calculator straight away. So I've got negative 4 plus 6.32, and that's divided by 6. So my first answer is 0.38, 0.387, and my second answer is, now here's a good little trick, is if you want to do this really quickly, just go back and get rid of the plus and put a minus in it. So you've got negative 1.72 as your second answer. Okay, guys. So that's basically how we end up using quadratic. I'm just having some problems. Where is my recording? Where is it? Where is it? Here we go. So that's basically how we actually use a quadratic formula to solve this. Now, I'm going to actually ask you guys to pretty much use quadratic formula for factorizing, solving, because trust me on this, it will be so much more useful to you when later on when you end up doing discriminants. And in the next video, I'm going to show you guys how to solve quadratics using a graphics calculator. But again, graphics calculator, use it to check the answers. But in terms of working out, just get into the habit of doing the quadratic formula as is. Okay, that's basically it, guys. Thank you for watching. And as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.